other than being a terrible agent of a terrible philosophy for her own benefit. I mean, it starts right away as far as her career goes.
All right, man, let's hear it.
So as a 29-year-old, she starts dating a 60-year-old established government participant. Willie Brown was the mayor of San Francisco, I believe, and then he became
31-year age gap.
Yeah, he was married.
Oof.
And they were open about it.
Oof.
So it's
Kamala.
It's a married, lifelong state hack piece of garbage who now has some power, and she starts dating him openly while he's married, and then she just gets delivered to two different commissions. One of them is one of the most ridiculous things you could ever imagine. It's like, okay, if some of these people that are involved in like the executive branch of government or regulatory bodies that are connected to the government, or even in like the upper levels of management of the industries that are directly affected by that, right? These people all supposedly have an interest in like having uniform standards for like communicating, standards for evaluating quality and coherence of programs, all of these different aspects. So you would think that if it took, bi-monthly meetings for these people to spend some time together and get coordinated, why would any of those people be compensated for that? It's already in their interest, right? So I don't understand how any of these like coordinating committee type arrangements, why any of them are compensated, because they involve people who are already highly compensated just getting their shit together so that things work smoothly and everybody understands the input and output either being put in or received from the overall structure that they're trying to make coherent, right? You need these communications between the people who are at the tops of the different parts of the thing. Otherwise, it just ends up with a mess.
Right.
He put one of those positions was basically 2 meetings a month, a bunch of which she didn't show up
this
for.
Was for Kamala.
Yeah,
he was
getting paid more than the average full-time per capita salary of the normal people to show up twice a month and then not even fulfill that.
Dude, she's hybrid schedule. She's working remote, goes in the office 2 times a month.
This is back in the 90s. You realize she's about to turn 60?
They had remote back in the
This
day.
happened. This was when she was 29. Okay, so that's the first thing. She's an absolute immoral, corrupt piece of garbage, self-seeking, personal benefit seeker.
So to sum up point number 1, she slept with this 60-year-old man who was married, help her get into the industry.
And there's no doubting it because Willie Brown
already came out and admitted it.
Willie Brown has discussed it. It's like in his autobiography or something. I mean,
classic. A man with power fucks younger woman to get her a position that she desires.
Yeah, and then
how many times have you heard that?
And then basically uses those positions as she's a prostitute. She's an adulterous prostitute. She did eventually get chased away by the wife once Willie Brown ascended to a high enough position.
The wife bullied her out.
I think he eventually ends up becoming California governor, and his wife says, "This is done. If I'm first lady, you have to be done with this. We cannot sit in the governor's mansion."
How long was the wife?
Years.
And the wife was just cool with it?
No, she was never cool with it, but they didn't care.
Yeah.
Can you imagine being married to a guy like that?
No.
Yep, that's what women chase now.
Yeah.
Women are all chasing the guys who are at the top of all these demon worshiping pyramids because they have money and people know who they are, and they're just pieces of garbage. And that's what women want now. They want high status, high income garbage piles.
They value a man's status and income more than his actual personality,
than the actual quality or any actual aspect of the person. They don't care.
If you stay in a relationship for however many years, knowingly that your significant other is cheating on you the whole time, and you still choose to stay with them, you're in love with something else. You're not in love with
And the other great part about it is that Willie Brown's wife was apparently, and I think that this might have been part of the motivation for him actually cutting things off with Kamala, whatever the hell her name is.
Kamala.
Willie Brown's wife was like some kind of a voodoo high priestess. So there might have actually been like a supernatural threat that he didn't want to chance it.
Things are getting silly
when
now,
she put her foot when she put her foot down, and how it's like
silly now.
It's like, no, if you go back to the N-word.
So his wife put some voodoo spell on her.
Well, the N-word people from the 40s. We know who they are, right?
The KKK, the N-word.
Well, they're those the National Socialist Workers Party of Germany, who
I didn't know
perpetrated World War II.
I didn't learn about the N-word party.
They had a society called the Vril Society, and the highest positions in that thing were these women, these Gnostic, I am God women. That they have these bizarre freaking beliefs, and they get into all of the occult practices that come from the ancient times, and they just relabel everything. Nothing new under the sun, and it's all they, for whatever reason, all of these godless people, the ones that worship the world and are only interested in themselves, they always want to invert everything, and that's why they love the idea of putting women in charge. It's the goddess mythology. They're obsessed with it. And once you install that, then it's an open gate to sexual debauchery, and just like there's no limits. That once you try to invert God's order that way, it's no holds barred. And that's why all this atheism garbage is so dangerous, because all atheism is, it's a psyop to make people more vulnerable to the occult pitches.